where I share tips and hacks to help you design your home your way. It's your girl, Denise Joy. I'm an interior designer, a space curator. I'm a 26-year college professor, and I'm the founder of the School for Joyful Living, where I help women who crave community, accountability, and support to implement their version, an action plan to live their version of a joyful life. You know what? It is spring cleaning is right around the corner here in the United States. So on this episode, I am continuing with my series where I focus on declutter, downsize, and organize. This is part 2 of how to get organized and stay that way. I appreciate you all for joining me live on this podcast episode. I um I love organizing and decluttering. Hey, what's up? I appreciate you for joining me, sis. I really do. Let me know if you enjoy or you don't enjoy organizing. I wasn't always organized. People will see some of my videos or photos of me sharing my own home. And a lot of times people say, "Are you a minimalist? Your home is so organized," or whatever. But I wasn't always organized. I had to learn, I had to discover that I was better off and I felt better when I did things that really demonstrated the kind of self-love that really matters. What am I willing to pour into myself? What am I willing to create that supports me so I can live and manifest at my highest level? So I had to learn to organize just like everybody else. Um, I often say if you are tired of wasting time hunting and never finding, right? We've all had that experience. And I'll tell you a quick example. I had reorganized some storage part in my basement and I have some beeswax. And I had taken the beeswax from the basement and I put it in a new location. When I tell you I couldn't find that beeswax for 2 days, I was just like, now I know I have the beeswax. And of course I went, "Hey, what's up? Oh, what's up? I appreciate you for joining me, Zena. Thanks so much." Yes, yes, yes. Every Monday and Wednesday at 10 a.m., I'm doing my Design Love podcast. And in the evenings on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, I'm doing my Learning to Live Abroad podcast. So you can check out either one. And of course, you can always watch the replays. But I was looking for that beeswax, and then, sure enough, as it usually happens, you're looking for something else, and boom, I found the beeswax in the new location. I'm sure y'all can relate to this. And sometimes that makes you think I should have left it where it was. But actually, no, no. It just means I have to relearn, I have to reacclimate myself to, I created a different and better organization system for that item because of some things I had done in the basement. And I just have to get acclimated to. But I'm covering some tips in today's episode that help with things like that when you relocate an item. So I often say if you're tired of wasting time hunting and never finding the things that you use on a daily basis, you're going to get a whole lot from this particular episode. So if you are new to the channel and you have not watched the show live, make sure, or you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit subscribe. Hit the notification bell. You don't want to miss a single one of my always helpful, at least that's what folks say, videos that I'm sharing real tips and hacks to help you design your home your way. I find that this podcast series, which is something that I had done back in 2022, and then this year I said, I'm going to take it into a whole different direction, particularly now with what's going on, in the United States, especially. We need to pay more attention to what we can do on our own. I'm always happy if someone wants to hire me and bring me to their home to either help them declutter and organize or just redesign their space. But the real deal is I'm all about helping women create impact on their own, right? I think of creating impact on your own is a way to build your confidence. It empowers you. I often think of it as the most kindest, generous, most loving, nurturing way to show self-love to yourself is to do things that mean a lot to you, particularly if you don't have the budget yet, or maybe you're not interested in spending your coins in that way to have somebody else do it. Yesterday, I sorted out my t-shirt drawer. I talked about how I had accumulated too many t-shirts in another episode, the previous one. Well, my brother sent me a gorgeous t-shirt that honored our family name. Many of you know, or you might not know, my last name is Hart. My middle name is Joy. So I jokingly always say I got joy in the middle of my heart. My parents did a number on me. But anyway, he sent me this t-shirt with our last name on it, and it says Heart Strong, which I love. Soon as I opened up the package and I saw the t-shirt, I said, look at how the universe worked. Look at how spirit worked. You got to get rid of some of those t-shirts. Something new in, something has to go out. So yesterday I spent some time taking t-shirts, literally holding them up, asking the critical questions. When's the last time you wore this? How much is this t-shirt in your drawer because it's sentimental? And that, not that sentimental things are bad or negative, but you have to do the inventory. It took me about 25 minutes to go through that t-shirt drawer. I got rid of 7 t-shirts that for various reasons to add 1. All right. So just a prime example. I'm super excited to be doing this series. You should go back and watch some of the previous podcast episodes on decluttering. Decluttering, I'm going to say that again. Decluttering happens before organizing, not the vice versa. So go back and watch decluttering part 1, decluttering part 2, the benefits of organizing. All of these have very, very useful information for that mindset shift. That's really the first part, but I already covered that in a previous episode, so I'm going to briefly touch on it today. This episode is really extra special because once we get organized, a lot of times we have trouble keeping things organized. And so let's dive in. Decluttering is the first part of the battle. Organizing is the best part of the battle. Yeah, I know y'all like that. Decluttering is the first part. Organizing is the best part because organizing is where you literally see the fruit of your labor. Okay? You see the labor, quote, is the decluttering. The fruit of the labor is getting organized. And then you reap what you sow when you benefit from how you organized your space. Talking micro level, literally organizing a drawer, literally what I talked about, reorganizing my t-shirt drawer. I did the decluttering part. Then I reorged how the t-shirts were in that drawer yesterday. And so when I go back in that drawer, I'm reaping what I sowed. And I'm going to be a good steward over that. Now, I'm not doing too much. Like people say, girl, you're really serious about this. Yes, because I know how decluttering, downsizing, and organizing saves you time and strengthens your sense of your well-being, and it saves your sanity, all of the things. This stuff is so important. And actually, it's really important for what's happening in our society right now. I often say, in moments of crises where you're experiencing perhaps seismic changes and you're like, I don't know if I'm up for that, focusing on the lowest common denominator of what you can actually control, decluttering, doing 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you'll be surprised at how much it restores your equilibrium. Your sense of, okay, I might can't, and I mean that, control that out there, but I can pay attention to this in here. I can keep things set up. If you're perhaps setting up like I did, I set up a whole storage for food and other things. You might need to go in and do a closet. I have a basement. That was why I was reorganizing the basement and forgot where I put the beeswax so that I could have make better use of how I wanted to store food items and things like that for, some long-term use, because nobody knows what's really about to happen or go down. But you want to pay that kind of attention. Focus on that lowest common denominator. Declutter something that's been on your nerves, maybe your shoes in your closet or whatever. So organizing is the best part. Organizing requires a system, though. But I like to keep things simple. I like to keep things focused on steps that people can really follow, that you can get your brain around, and you're like, hey, that seems easy enough. Step 1, step 2. All right, I can do that. Let me tackle that. Here's our guiding principle. Everything should have a place, and everything always returns to, so it lives in that place. Like my example with the beeswax for, 3, maybe 4 years. I had kept that beeswax in a particular spot in my basement. Once I redid everything and decided, I'm going to move these, it was 3 small jars of beeswax and put them in another location. They were no longer living in the place they had been before, and my brain has not gotten acclimated to their new home, so I couldn't find them. But it took me a minute. Now that I've found them again, now I'm saying to myself, remember, the beeswax is in a new location. Remember, remember. So everything should be in its place, which means you create a location for something. When you use that something, you put it back in that location. Here's what we don't want. I talk about this. I did a short on this. It's a principle that I live by when I'm designing. It's a principle for myself and for others. And it's a principle that I live by whenever I'm helping someone to declutter and reorganize. What you don't want is the oh, that's good enough mentality. The oh, that's good enough mentality typically means you're going to stop just short of truly executing what's going to change your life. Let that resonate for a minute. Let that resonate. When you slip into, oh, that's good enough, you are stopping just short of continuing to execute and implement the thing that's going to literally change your life. You deserve both micro transformational moments and macro transformational moments. But when you accumulate enough micro transformational moments, you end up with some macro transformational moments. I'm very passionate about this. I'm unapologetically passionate about this because I believe that organizing, decluttering, downsizing, and organizing changes your life. Point blank, full stop. Drop in the chat. Let me know, what are some of your organizing challenges? What are some of your rooms, your spaces, your closet, your kitchen drawers, your kitchen cabinets? I'm picking some of the biggies, the typicals. Typically, things behind closed doors are the least organized, right? There's no shame here. None, zero, not one bit. All right. The first thing is increased self-awareness allows you to self-correct quicker, sooner, faster. The quicker you are able to be kind of vulnerable and say, I got a problem, I just throw my shoes in the back of the closet. Trust, hand raised. I used to be very unorganized, which is why I'm very passionate about helping others to create maximum impact and maximum transformation. Whether you do the work yourself or you hire someone, etc. Nobody owes you anything. I think most of us understand this. However, you deserve to give yourself everything. You deserve to give yourself everything, and you can do it. Now, here's a brief recap of how to get organized, part one, and then we're going to dive into part two. I covered how to organize your home to fit your lifestyle in that episode. I posed the questions of how do you ask what's causing the clutter in this room. I also created some create clutter-free room rules. That's a game changer. You definitely want to go and watch this. This is the episode previous to this one, which I think that's episode 4. What organizing products could you use better, and how to use containers and grouping. Now let's jump into part 2 for today. So I'm going to cover 5 steps. I'm going to cover how to create reminder notes, how to label things. 3, how to use and repurpose the right organization container for the right items. 4, how to break down those goals into smaller achievable steps. And 5, getting support. Again, drop in the chat. Let me know what's up. Oh, yes, Deborah, it is hard to keep it that way. As a matter of fact, I skipped something that I wasn't going to cover, but let's look at real quick the challenges of not being organized or staying organized. Those challenges are: you try to get organized, but you end up with a bigger mess. You get organized, but your success is temporary, and you have difficulty with changing your behavior. We've all been there. I know I've been there. And so it really is just learning new steps and taking maybe, if not all 5 of these steps, to say, I'm going to start with one of those steps to stay organized that we're covering today. And I'm going to implement that step repeatedly for 2 weeks. I'm just going to focus in on that thing for 2 weeks because you're sort of, in a way, rewiring, reacclimating your brain, the way you think, the way your behavior. A quick tip is you can even put this on like your phone calendar. Many of us use our calendar. You can put this on your phone calendar for like 5 minutes, just as a reminder to do this one thing. 5 minutes. You might not do it for 5 minutes, but I don't think on my calendar, I can't set my calendar for less than 5 minutes as a reminder. And so That's just another way to support yourself. Again, you want to do loving, nurturing, honoring gestures from you, to you, for you. So you create that wellspring of self love that you are directing towards yourself. I believe in this so profoundly. All right, so let's jump into number one. Step number one, tip and hack, create reminders. Okay, what are you going to use? You can use reminder notes, and you can create a notepad that lists things to help you stay organized. This can be incredibly effective. You can use like a small notepad, and you're going to write down the things that are in this room. So, for example, I should have used this tip when I knew that I was moving the beeswax from a previous location to a new one. I could have just created a sticky note or a notepad because I did move quite a few things around. And the other things, I remembered where I put them. I ended up putting the beeswax in the back of a drawer. I couldn't even see it back there. I could have made a list of things reorged. I could have put beeswaxes, boom, right? These are just really helpful tips. Now, you're not going to need that sheet forever, all right? You're going to use that temporarily until you realize, oh, I don't need that anymore. I remember where that is. I have reacclimated myself to that. So you can use that when you're really reorging things, when you're doing a major reorg. Listen, nobody remembers everything. I don't care your age, your whatever, okay? The youngest of children often forget things. And, I have one son and I have nieces and nephews. And I remember when they were little, constantly, Auntie or my son, Mom, where? I'm like, you got to get a better memory. You got to remember, backtrack, go back. What did you do? Where were you? So that we also teach how to remember things and how to better organize. Use a sticky note. The little sticky notes. I'm not trying to call out the company that we mostly know those for, because you can get a sticky note virtually anywhere. But use sticky notes to tag things temporarily. Now, remember, these are temporary, not unless you end up needing this tip long term. That's also fine. You can put a sticky note right on, like I could have put a sticky note on the cabinet and said, beeswax is in the drawer. Left it up there for a couple of weeks till I just remembered. Oh snap! I moved that from a previous location. These are just tools and tips and kind gestures to help you stay organized. Remember, we're talking about how to get organized and stay that way. You are not. You don't have to remember every single thing. Okay. Also, when things need to be fixed. This is a pet peeve of mine, because I find that when I have been invited to sometimes to someone's home, they often apologize to me in advance when we're going to like do a walkthrough of an inventory of the space. And they'll say, oh, that's broken. I'm sorry. And then I often say, well, okay, well, why is it here? Well, I was going to get around to it and so on and so forth. And then I start to ask more questions about, how does that make you feel when you have things that are not usable, things that are broken, that need fixing? Usually, what I have found over my many years of working in this field is when you have something broken that needs fixing, you've given no attention to it, it drains your energy. It drains your creativity. It steals your focus. Okay? It back of your mind, like, ooh, there's that chair, and don't nobody can sit in that when they come over because that leg needs to be rescrewed, tightened, or it's just broken, right? I know we've all experienced this. And so what I usually do, this is a side tip because I kind of got off on this little rant, is you keep track of what needs to be fixed. And then usually when I'm doing my spring cleaning focus, the things that need to be fixed, either I'm sourcing that out. If I don't want to or can't do it myself, I might call in a TaskRabbit, which is that service, kind of, I call that the Uber of handy people, where you can go to the app, TaskRabbit, say what it is you need, and jot it in there, and you pay, but you pay through the app. So it's wonderful. Or I'm going to fix those things myself. So things that need to be fixed, you're going to pay special attention. You might create a weekend, and if it's just things you can do yourself, like tightening one of the knobs on your cabinet, it's loose, you constantly go over there, so, oh shoot, I need to fix that thing. Or it just came loose and fell off, and you had the knob sitting on the counter for 2 months. Set a time to fix those things, but you create a fix-it list. You create a sticky note, or just like I said, the little notepad. You're going to jot down, you go right over there and you write that down. Remember, you're doing kind, generous, loving gestures toward yourself that show a true sense of self-love. I firmly believe decluttering, downsize, and Organizing is a gesture of self-love. We can all use a lot more of that powerful, potent energy of transformation that we direct towards ourselves, and then that energy moves out to our family members, our children, or whomever is in our quote sphere of influence, if you call it that. Write down what needs to be fixed, replenished, or removed. Replenished is a little bit easier for people because we sort of do that. Like if you go grocery shopping, you're writing a list of what you need to replenish, right? You can relate to that. Um, so you want to do that as well, to keep that kind of list. And removed, things that just need to go. You can also use the notes feature in your phone. I already said this, but I'll repeat it. Create a calendar reminder to do your organizing and things that need to be taken care of on a regular basis. Do you have your spring cleaning or spring spruce up on your calendar? Put it on there. Doesn't need to be a week. Now, if you need more time, spread that time out. If you say, oh, I need to do a major spring cleaning, Denise, I have neglected that. Let me know if y'all want me to do an episode on spring cleaning. Actually, I'm thinking I might now that I'm talking about it. But drop in the comments. Let me know if it'd be great to do a spring cleaning. Or maybe we could do a live where we spring clean together. That might be kind of fun. I'm thinking of trying to do different things to keep the community connected and growing and building together. So let me know if you think that's a cool idea, and I'll set it up. I have no problem. All right, step number 2, label things. Labeling things is a game changer, a lifesaver, and a time saver. We all want to give ourselves back more time, right? So labeling things can do this. Here's where I use this a lot. When I'm organizing my freezer, I actually have a small I have a smallish freezer outside of my refrigerator, and I use it more there. So I use a Sharpie, a permanent Sharpie marker, or rather a permanent marker. I'm trying to stop dropping product names, but a permanent marker, and I tend to write on a food safe freezer bag, because what I realized, and I know y'all probably have this issue, once it's in the freezer, I forget what's in there. I used to say, oh, I'm gonna remember. I remember. No, I don't, because once that kind of freezer film gets in the bag, you trying to scrub it and rub it. Like, what is this? Use a Sharpie. Use a permanent marker, something that will help you label it. You can also, perhaps for things that don't go in the freezer, and I have used this before, is a electronic label maker. They're kind of fun, right? They might be a little OCD for some people, but that's cool. These are just tips. If you don't want to go that route, you don't have to. This is me just offering yes, Deborah. It is a big help. And again, I'm all about doing things that help me, from me, to me, for me, loving, kind, honorable gestures that help me out, right? So you can get a label maker or just use some masking tape. Make sure your masking tape is sticky. Some masking tapes aren't as sticky, and you can read the label for that, but you can get the sticky version, and then you can put that on bins. But if you want that label maker, because you have that aesthetic organization vibe going on, which is cool, you want to label things. You can definitely relabel something if you're shifting items from one area to the next. You can even put labels on the front of like a shelf edge, so you know where you want things to be stored. This is great for young children, or really teens or whatever, because it helps them know, oh, this should go back here, right? My parent has said, I'm not just putting this any old place. This is going here, and so on and so forth. You can label file folders, spice racks, plant stakes. I wouldn't label my spice rack because I cook a lot and I always remember where my spices go. But if you need that kind of support, remember, step number 2, try labeling things. Step number 3, use and repurpose the right organization container for the right items. The number 1 tip I have here is to use clear plastic bins as much as possible. Why? Well, because they're see-through and you can see what's inside them. You can even get clear back almost in any size. I did something. Oh, awesome. You're welcome. And I did something a couple of years, 2, maybe 3 years ago now. I invested in the clear storage bins for drawers. 100% game changer. You see, I had to do that face. 100% game changer. Woo! I mean, I love them so much. But again, I'm a little user-friendly OCD on the organizing. Oh yes, Zena. Yes. Oh, life shader. Um, well, I actually just got rid of this company because I'm not, I'm trying not to say the name, but you can just do a search and find where you might get those kinds of bins. You don't have to just go to the place where you could get something next day, although you might get next day shipping with a smaller, sort of a more local shop. Y'all know where I'm going here. So you can get them. I'm sorry, I'm not able to say it because I'm just not supporting them anymore. I hope y'all roll with me on that. Um, Clear bins also tend to be stackable, which is a space saver for vertical. And you can get those clear bins if you're storing like food items or clothing. Okay, okay, all right, Deborah. Or food items, you can get the ones with the lids on them. Now, I'm not an aesthetic storage person, but let me explain what aesthetic, some of you might not know that term. That means somebody who is going to invest in all of their storage items are either wicker or the same color, right? You've seen the shows, on, some of those streaming platforms. You open the doors to the closet and everything is the same color coded. I believe in custom on a budget. Okay. So let's save some coin and let's go travel, right? Let's go do something else because most of the time that stuff is behind some closed doors and I'm usually the only person seeing it. However, if you just love the aesthetic storage organization vibe, do you, boo. That's my other principle. Do you, boo. And if that's what you want to hire me to help you create, then I'm going to do you, boo, because that's what I'm there for. I'm there to support the thing that you know is going to be just a gesture of love, honor, and kindness towards yourself. I love wicker basket, but those tend to be, I keep those for items that are taller so that, like for example, if I was going to store like shampoos or hair care in a closet, usually your shampoos and stuff are a little bit taller. If you get a low wicker basket, use that because it's not see-through for things that are taller and you can actually see the item. Make sure that if you're storing items maybe in a basement or somewhere that's cooler, a garage, you want to get those airtight lids so you can make sure that you're not having opportunity for dust or, garage or something. You might have some insects or something like that to be able to get in. And listen, clear bins tend to go on sale, or really all storage bins, right around the time of this episode, right before spring cleaning season. We're March 3rd of this episode, but usually around late February, March, going into middle, those storage bins are going on sale. Another time where storage bins is when students are going back to school, which is the fall, so you can get them then. Repurpose, another way to get that custom on a budget. So if you have done shopping online and you might get boxes of different sizes, keep the boxes that are sort of smaller because you can repurpose those boxes. You can store things. Again, if you're not into the aesthetic storage, who cares, right? You just need something to organize things and to group things together. So you would put all your hair care, your shampoo, conditioner, spritz, whatever you're using, put them in one box. The other day I had a box, I forget what I had ordered. I think some canning supplies, and it came in this really cool different, and I said, oh my God, I could put this under my sink and put my cleaning supplies. I already had most of my cleaning supplies organized, but I had acquired a few and they were kind of loose, and I like to group things together. It also makes it easier when I need to clean under there. I'm moving one thing versus 4 separate bottles. So I put them in that. I felt so proud of myself, like, yes, repurpose, girl, repurpose, right? It's the small things, right? That give you a zeal, a sense of, okay, accomplishment during this type of a time we're in. So, yeah, restore under the closet, under the sink, maybe even in your closet where you have your clothing. Maybe you might put, maybe you might roll some t-shirts up and those t-shirts, and you could put them in that box and you store them vertically. You could store more t-shirts than if you laid them flat, things like that. All right, let me know what's vibing with y'all. Oh yeah, thrift store. Oh, Deborah, you said my favorite thing. Now, I actually was going to get to this later, but since you mentioned it, when I decided to redo my basement section for better food storage, canned goods, things like that, I went right to the thrift store because that's custom on a budget right there. I got some of the best wire racks, their wire baskets, quite honestly, awesome. They were better even than a clear plastic bin because I was wanting to store certain items in there. So absolute great tip. Go to the thrift store and keep things out of the landfill. We keep repurposing things. I believe in that absolutely profoundly. Um, the next under repurposing, think of items you can use to organize your kitchen. For example, I redid my brother's kitchen last February. He was so thrilled that one of the items after I had done an inventory of his kitchen, obviously first, he had all these knives. He loves to cook, y'all. He's a good cook. I said, all right, I bought a magnetic knife holder, and I was able to install it not right by his stove, and put all the knives up so he can now see them. And now we're making better use of vertical storage. And now the drawer where all these knives were, he can use that drawer for better storage. So there's so many things that you can think of that you can use to maximize your organization and keep it that way. That's his favorite part of the whole kitchen reorg that I did for him. And again, maximize the wall space. Shoe boxes. Yes. Yes. Yes, Deborah. Yes. Shoe boxes can be used to store items longer term. Like you might have some boots boxes or something, and you could put purses in there and line them up to keep them grouped together. Now, if you have space challenge, which a lot of us do, I would not recommend you store your shoes in the box they came in. Although a lot of people do that because they say it's going to keep the dust down and so on and so forth. But boxes take up so much space, so you kind of have to trade it off what you want to how you want to use that space. What can you look at in your own home to repurpose and turn it into a useful repurposed storage container? We all have things we're underutilizing, so I encourage you to do that step. Step number 4. This is kind of a reiteration, but it's so important when we're thinking about how to get organized and stay that way. Remember to break down your goals into smaller, achievable steps and take things one step at a time. You know, they say something like, don't try to eat the whole elephant or eat the whole frog, something like that. Y'all might know what I'm referring to. But you're going to make a list of what you need to organize in one room at a time. So let's say it's your bedroom. Let's say it's your closet, right? If the job is large, then you're going to focus on one part of the room at a time. I once helped somebody reorganize their living room, and the first thing we did was we tackled, this person had a pretty big collection of VHS tapes and DVDs. They were slightly older. But what I did was set what we were going to keep and how big that was going to be, because that helped determine what we could keep. So that way it wasn't a whole lot of, well, I love that. I said, well, remember, this is where things are going to go next. They're going from here to that. And it was intentional that the new storage area was smaller. So it made them ask much more serious and critical questions, and we were able to knock that out. This homeowner felt so accomplished, so empowered, so, yes, I'm doing the thing. They were like, what can we do next? They started driving. I didn't have to kind of nerd coax, and say, well, here's what we should do next. They started to drive the process. That's the best, okay? When you get so vested in fixing things to make it serve you, that's the best feeling that you want. So here's another example. Let's say you have a bookshelf that's just loaded down. It's just filled up. And you want to reduce that by half. Now I want you to set a new goal. You want to reduce it by half because you now want to also add like sentimental knickknacks and maybe some pictures, not to clutter it up, but you're taking a decluttering task and adding a goal, so you actually are working towards something. You're not only focusing on getting rid of things, you're focusing on creating a new goal, a new outcome. That can give you motivation and make you feel more eager to, let me get half of these books out of the way, because now I want to be able to set up and set this sort of aesthetic piece, although I find books to be aesthetic as well, that you have a new goal and it can motivate you. That's a bomb tip and hack. Last thing, always set a reasonable time frame to get to work. I don't care if it's 10 minutes, commit to the 10 minutes. If it's 30 minutes, if it's an hour a day, you want to make that commitment. All right, and this is step number 5. Oh, hey, what's up? What's up, Elle? Thank you. I'm so glad you are vibing with this series. It's so near and dear to my heart. And like I said earlier, for the moment that we are in, which can feel like a crisis from many different perspectives, let's focus on one of the internal locus of operational control that we have. Start with decluttering, downsizing, organizing, getting things prepped for yourself in a very meaningful way. Step 5, this is our last step in this episode of how to get organized and stay that way. Get support. Get support, right? Let's say you're just looking around and you're like, ooh, child, whether it's I live like this for a month, I live like this for a year, or I've been living like this for 5 years, I'm feeling organized, get some support. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Say, maybe you invite a friend. Maybe you have a friend like me, because I used to be this friend. Once I got organized, everybody would be like, Denise, can you come over here and look at my closet? Denise, can you come over here and help me organize my bedroom? And I would gladly just go. I did so much stuff for free, and I still do things for free. That was part of how I ended up creating an interior design space curation business, because people were like, as a matter of fact, I'll shout out my niece. My niece flat out said, Auntie, you should be getting paid for this because you the bomb. I was like, she really did. She really did, inspire me to go for it and set everything up. But here's the thing. You can also have an organizing party. Oh, yes. Okay, yes, I will. I will, Deborah. Thank you so much. In fact, I can go back and add that to the rest of the previous episodes because this series is new. I'm happy to do that. Thank you for that. I love that. So you can have an organizing party. This is something that you can make fun. I believe in fun. Fun. So let's say you get 2, 3, maybe even 4 friends. You're going to provide the libations. Now, however those libations are categorized, you decide that. Provide a little food, play some music, have a lot of fun. You can assign people to one room on their own, or everybody goes room by room. And beforehand, you're going to write out the goals that you have planned to make it efficient and fun. Listen, sister friend time, music, something to eat, something to drink, and it may even inspire that y'all would agree to do this for each other's home. Come on now, community. Community is it. I love this so much. I've done this. I've participated in this before. And remember, y'all, have some dance breaks, right? Have some dance breaks. Maybe it's the current line dance. Somebody's trying to learn it, or some of the old school dances, but make it fun. Now, lastly, you can always work with a professional to support and guide you and teach you a system. All right. You can obviously pick up tips that you're going to learn in this series. But if you just know you need support and yes, do them dance breaks, Deborah. I love to dance. I got to put the dancing and the music in there. So here's an idea. There's usually going to be a fee if you hire somebody to support you, but this is what you can do. You can try a session or 2, and then after that initial help and you've learned a system, you can find that you can do it yourself. That can work. In fact, probably 90% of y'all watching this, that's what can help you if you really are overwhelmed, if you felt like I can't do this. And then if you have a more serious issue, which sometimes can happen, you can join support groups. You can join communities that really focus on behavioral modification. And then you can work with a professional who also focuses on that. For every one of these episodes, I close out with an affirmation. This affirmation is, I am organized. Out of respect for myself and others, I honor my wellspring of self-love by organizing my home. Thank y'all so much for joining me for Design Love Podcast, where I share tips and hacks to help you design your home your way. I had a lot of fun today. I'm hoping that if you're watching this replay, that you jot down your tips, you jot down the tips that are going to help you, and ask your questions. Tell me what was great for you. What's a great takeaway for you from the episode? And remember, Design Love Podcast drops on my channel Mondays and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And you can always watch the replay. Thanks again. And I will see you all in the very next episode on Wednesday. Bye, everybody.